There is nothing in the world more dangerous than an American president watching television. Donald Trump last night followed Ronald Reagan in 1982 and George Bush in 2001 as an isolationist turned interventionist in the Middle East. His past pragmatism towards Syria's Assad regime and its Russian backers underwent a 180-degree turn as 59 American missiles rained down on a Syrian airbase. Welcome back to Mission Creek. Breaking from dinner with the Chinese leader, Trump spoke of his reaction to slow and brutal deaths, choking bodies, and beautiful babies. He 3 times invoked God. He had been moved to act, he said, because Assad's attack on children had a big impact on me. As for Russia's role in the attack, Trump's Secretary of State said it was either complicit or incompetent. Now, what Jenkins is saying that from Reagan in 82 to Bush in 2001, that there is an ignominious history of U.S. presidents meddling in Middle Eastern affairs. He concluded it never works. We're going to go to Denver to check in with Ted Harvey, who is a state senator there and a Republican state senator and a Donald Trump supporter. This week, acknowledging the fact that this week Trump changed his mind on Syria. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you for having me on.
I'm sure that you've had a chance to listen to all the pros and cons about whether or not it was a good thing, and more importantly, whether or not this president had the power to do this. I think that most folk who deal with the law in this kind of arena are saying that absolutely, that presidential powers afford the commander-in-chief the privilege of doing exactly what Donald Trump did. But the president went a little farther, I think, picked up the phone. Well, he didn't do it, but his people did, picked up the phone and called a dozen congresspersons to give them a heads up on what was about to happen. What's your assessment of what's going on here?
Well, the Wars Powers Act gives the president 60 days from the time he engages our military forces to go to Congress. And so certainly shooting 50 Tomahawk missiles at one time gives him the ability to legally do that. The question is, should he have done it? And I think that the use of nerve gas against a civilian population is something that the entire world should rally against. And if you watched Nikki Haley yesterday at the UN Security Council was going to do nothing about this. And she looked the Russian ambassador in the eye and said, how many kids are going to have to die in this kind of fashion before you take this seriously? And she said, if you won't do it, if this body won't do it, then the United States will. And I thought that was a very strong message that needed to be sent to the world, that the United States is no longer just going to sit back on their hands and allow brutal dictators to go unchecked. As a conservative that I am, I certainly hope that we are not going to get any deeper involved in this, other than teaching the government there that they cannot use biological weapons that have been banned by the entire international community, and we will sit back and see what happens.
Does this mean, this president is, as candidate, and I think since he's been elected, was saying that, before he became president, he said that he was going to shut it down, that no more, that he was going, he didn't use the word shut it down. He said he was going to send them back, that America should not be opening its doors to Syrian refugees. Is that independent from your perspective of what's happening now and the position he's taken, that he's changed his mind about Syria?
I'm not sure I'm following your thoughts. With regards to the refugees and with regards to firing missiles on a regime that used biological weapons against civilians, I don't think those are related.
What I'm saying is, what is related is, from my perspective, is the president is saying that Syrian people who have become the victims of those attacks in that country, certainly the president of Syria didn't just start misusing and abusing its citizens.
Correct.
I mean, that's been going on for a while.
Yep.
And so he said to those people who were able to escape that, to try to find a life somewhere else and at least save their own lives, he had said after he became president that he was going to send those who had come to America, send them back. So I'm saying, does this mean, since he saw these horrible photographs on television about these children, in addition to those adults, does that mean that his sentiment has changed about those people who were trying to get out and come over here as refugees? I know they're not one and the same, but nevertheless, they're all Syrians trying to escape the horrible life there and atrocities going on there.
Correct. And I don't believe that the president has said that he is not going to allow Syrians to come in. I believe the president has said that he is going to put in a much more rigorous screening process to be able to verify exactly who the individuals are that are coming into our country, rather than just allowing anybody to come in. And I believe that...
But he did say, excuse me, Senator, he did say, I'm going to send them back in plain, simple English. He did say that. Prior to the launch now. Prior to the launching of the missiles.
He didn't say that as president of the United States. He's always said that he is going to have a more rigorous background check on individuals that are going to be migrating here or immigrating here under refugee status.
You know what? If I've had the time, I'd certainly find that audio of him saying, I'm going to send them back, whether candidate or president. My question was, does that mean that we're going to see the same compassion shown to those who were killed, who were Syrians, to those who are trying to come here and those who've come? We'll move that one down the road. We'll move on down the road on this. Before there can be any more action that would be consistent, or any game plan for that, Donald Trump will have to go before the U.S. Congress, yes?
Within 60 days of this initial engagement, yes. And as a strong constitutionalist, I would strongly encourage the president to do that.
What's happening within the party right now? Some Republicans think this was a good thing. They think that moving forward there has to be some caution. We know that the president gave the Russians a heads up. You know, you might want to get out of there because we're getting ready to do something, and they acted accordingly. However, today they're sending out some pretty strong messages to the United States of America. Putin, one of the things Putin said was that, you know, that's what the president is saying is a bunch of trumped up stuff that has no merit. Is it normal for, in these kind of international disputes, for any country, whether it's the U.S. or any other entity, to warn people who are there that you need to get out of the way because we're getting ready to do something? How normal is that from your perspective?
Well, I think it's very normal. You go back to World War II when the United States bombed Japan. We spent weeks dropping literature from the air over all of the cities where we were going to drop nuclear bombs. I think that is very much in line with the way the United States ethics should be. But I think that with regards to telegraphing to the world that we were going to take serious action on this, I think UN Ambassador Haley yesterday before the National Security Council pretty much said, we're going to do something and Russia better take this seriously.
It's 24 past the hour. William in West Bloomfield, you're on the Mildred Gaddis Show with State Senator Ted Harvey from Denver, Colorado.
Very good, Mildred.